Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're looking at this beauty right here, the Lexus GX550 Overtrail Plus. I love what Lexus has done here with the styling. Looks very chiseled, very stately, and I do like the proportions of this. 33-inch tires to help tackle those trails. What we're going to do in this video is have a look at this design in detail, from this beautiful chiseled design that we have in the front end, the side view, the rear, the interior of course, and then last but not least, we're gonna take it for a drive. Now, as always, before we jump in and talk about this beautiful design of the 2025 Lexus GX550 Overtrail Plus, let's have a look at what's hiding under the hood. We have a 3.4-liter turbo V6 putting out 349 horsepower, 479 pound-feet of torque. It's connected to a 10-speed automatic transmission. You got full-time four-wheel drive. 0 to 60 takes about 6.5 seconds. Fuel economy comes in at 15 city, 21 highway, and the price for this, with all the options that we're going to talk about in a minute, comes in at $84,575. And some of the options that we have here, for example, we have the roof rack up top. That is a $1,580 option. We also have the rock rails down low, $900. You have head-up display, $900, an option that I would definitely not opt for, specifically not for $900. And the paint here, called Earth, is a $500 option as well. Looks very earthy to me. You have the premium audio system as well at $1,140, and those are sort of the biggest options that we have for this vehicle. So let's close this back down and let's talk about this beautiful design, because I think Lexus nailed it. It looks very nice, very chiseled, and has a very confident look to it. Full LED headlights, of course, with this Lexus bar that is typical, this L-shaped Lexus here, but it is a little bit more restrained here because this is a big brother SUV, so we don't want to have too much styling going on here. I love that when you're sitting in the driver seat, you can see these bulges on the sides here, you know, stretching forward into the front end, so you can clearly see where the wheels are positioned, and that's sort of helpful when you're taking this off-road. You also, of course, have the full 360 camera system in this car as well. All the way down here we have some fog lights, and it also looks like we have some side LEDs here to light up what's right in the corner in front of the Lexus. Very cool to see. We do have this sort of a spindle grille design here, at least a version of it. You can see that we have this cut, typical Lexus styling. We have it go into a sharp corner here, and then downwards and outwards. We have openings here for the grille, front-mounted camera located right here, radar sensor behind this massive Lexus grille right there, and we have some openings down here as well. We do have sort of a skid plate underneath there. I don't think is it metal? This piece is metal. Yeah, I do think this is also metal, to be honest. So we do have some protection underneath for the Overtrail Plus, and that is of course what you want to see when you go for the most off-road capable version of the GX550. So the front end design, clear Lexus DNA here, and very chiseled, and I do like the shoulder line that we have stretching across the entire side view here as well, with the bulging fenders definitely planting this car properly on the ground. You can see the metallic earth color here, the $900 option, and this was the launch spec for this car, so it's cool to see it in person. I do think the earth color looks very cool. Not sure if I would pay $900 for it though. So we do have full off-road tires, Toyo open country all-terrain tires with the 18-inch wheels. They're not black. I wouldn't call these black wheels. It might look black on the camera, but they're more like very, very dark gray. I do like the design of the wheels and the off-road tires. It just suits this vehicle overall to have that type of setup for this Overtrail Plus. Massive side mirrors in gloss black. You have the indicator here on the side as well. One of the most beautiful integrations, I believe, for a side indicator inside of the side mirror. It looks very clean. Then you have this pattern here as well, and the 360 camera is mounted right here underneath. I do like how it sits on the door right here instead of being connected to this piece. This makes it feel a little bit more upscale in my opinion. We also have the two-tone color here. So the roof, as you can see, we have this floating roof being all blacked out, and the shoulder line coming back. Look at how sharp it goes through the entire rear end, and then wraps up in the rear, creating this nice beautiful chamfer right in this area before it meets this separation between the black roof up top and of course the earth color for the body itself. All the way down low, we do have the optional $900 rock rails down here. That is probably something that I would consider getting if I was planning on taking my GX550 on the trails a lot. I would definitely want to have that just to protect the vehicle a little bit more. I also like this upswing that we have in the greenhouse. This creates a very dynamic looking design because it sort of shrinks the rear end when you have a smaller or a shorter and less tall window in the back. It gives it this forward motion that I think looks very, very cool. Now coming around to the rear end, again, the chiseledness, as you can see, definitely continues here in the back. It looks like there's something extruding from the rear end because of this piece right here, how this is framed with this chamfer going down here. You have some reflector lights all the way down here. Of course, full LED for $85,000. You want to have full LED lights all over this car, and that is exactly what we get. The indicators here, full LED as well. I do like the black housing and a very, very thick and juicy LED for the taillights here. Of course, Lexus, one of the first companies to introduce the full light bar. I do think it looks good on the GX550 as well. We don't have, I wouldn't call this visible exhaust pipes in the lower section. We have on one side, you can see it sticking out right there. And you also have a full spare size tire, and you can also remove this if you need to tow or hitch something in the back. One detail that I wish Lexus would have done differently here, even though this is the Overtrail Plus, it's a little bit more rugged and off-road. If it's $85,000, I would want to have this not to be visible in the middle. I want to have it be hidden up here, specifically in this price range. Now you do have two different openings for the back. You can see here in the corner, we have this button. So if we click this, opens up the glass portion. So you can just throw in some small stuff if you don't want to, or if you don't want to have the space to open up the full tailgate. Pretty cool to see, but if you want to open up the full thing, you can always do that. Of course, being power assisted in this price range, no surprise there. And looking in here, you have plenty of space with cup holders back here. Underneath here, we do have, let's see what we got here. We do believe we have a little bit more storage and also a first aid kit under there with some tie downs on each side right there. Any 12-volt house outlet, perfect for when you want to clean out your car and just plug in your vacuum cleaner right there. Very, very easy to clean. Of course, you can fold down 60/40 split if you need more space in the back. So let's fold this back down and let's jump in and have a look at this. Not only the exterior is beautiful for the 2025 GX550, every single trim of them, I think every single one of them just looks great. But also the interior, very, very nicely integrated. I do believe there's a 14-inch screen in there. Big screens, but it's way better integrated in my opinion than what you have in the, for example, the Tundra and the Tacoma. So let's jump in and check this out. This is definitely a place where I would like to spend a lot of time in because it feels very, very cozy in here. I do like the integration of both the 14-inch screen and also the gauge cluster, 12.3-inch, fully digital, of course. Looking at the door panel, all quality materials. We do have the Mark Levinson premium sound system here, optional sound system for this car, and we have some storage in the lower section, including a cup holder right there. Obviously, this is going to be power assisted. The seats and the seats themselves extremely comfortable, heated and ventilated, obviously, as well in this price range, $85,000. That is exactly what you want to have. So let's step in here and take a closer look at what's going on with this beautiful looking interior. I do think we should probably, let's just turn the car around so we don't have the sun in our face. You can see just how much snow we got. Yesterday or 2 days ago we got a lot of snow, but now we have 43 degrees out, which means that obviously everything is going to melt and gets very slushy. So I think this is a better angle for you to see the interior. So let's check out what's going on here with the GX550. First of all, we do have the 12.3-inch gauge cluster right there, fully customizable, which is great to see. You can customize it with these buttons right here on the side. If you hold down the center portion, we can customize, for example, the side right there, what info we want to have On the right side, navigation, audio, driver info. You can customize the center portion as well. Driving support, you can have nothing there, or you can have 2 different map layouts as well. And you can also customize the left side to have whatever you want to have in there. G-force for a GX550 Overtrail Plus seems maybe a little redundant, but we also have a Sport Plus setting when it comes to drive mode, which also doesn't feel exactly right for this specific trim level. Now up top you do have the $900 head-up display, something that I would definitely not go for. I've said this before, but I'm personally not a huge fan of head-up display. But look at the integration in here, very boxy design. It looks very rugged, but at the same time very luxurious because of all the quality materials that we have. You have sort of a slot here where you can slide in your phone, I guess. That's what this is for. And you have soft touch material all the way up here, all across the dash. I do love the design of the vents here as well, looking very, very nice and very high quality. Moving on to the infotainment screen, this being a 14-inch, similar to what same size that we have in the Tundra, in the Tacoma as well. But look at the integration here. It doesn't stick up too much like it does in the other Toyota vehicles. I do think the Lexus has done a much better job of integrating this. I also like how deep the gauge cluster sits within the dash here. All, of course, soft touch material all around. You have the big start button up here. If we go into this system here, and we can check out all the, for example, the camera settings. So you do have this camera button right here, a pretty interesting location for it. But if we press this, you can see that we have the full 360 camera. You can see everything that's around the car. And we can also fiddle around with these different camera settings here, get a close-up of what's going on around the car. Perfect for, of course, when you're driving this on trails and you don't want to hit any big rocks or something like that. So very nice camera system and pretty high resolution. If we put it into reverse, you're going to see that we do have the top view camera and a bunch of trajectory lines as well for the reverse camera, which is great to see. And washers for the cameras are included here. Perfect again for days like this when it's slush out and the cameras get dirty. You can just press this button and clean them off if you want to do that. Putting it back into park, the infotainment system itself is very similar to what we have in other Toyota products. You have all these settings here for connections, sound and media, navigation. You can go into the vehicle settings and check out the fuel economy, 13.2. Not the best fuel economy for this vehicle. I would like to see this maybe be sort of a hybrid setup, and the native navigation system looks pretty decent as well. Not the most beautiful looking design here, but as always, I would always have my CarPlay connected at all time. This comes with wireless Apple CarPlay, Android Auto as well. So looking at these are some of my favorite knobs for the climate settings. I just love this. This looks so beautiful with this sort of gradient from blue to red when you're adjusting this. It looks beautiful, and I also like that it's physical, of course. Very easy and very quick to figure out what you want to do with the temperature when you're driving. Where you want the air to come out from, that is a button up here. You also have heated, ventilated seats in 3 different levels. Beautiful to see. And heated steering wheel in 2 different levels as well. You can also adjust more of the climate settings by pressing this climate button right there. Then you have all these apps here as well. For example, the head-up display and the driving assist systems here, and comfort and convenience settings on the right side. We also have a bunch of more settings here, driving assistance again. And you can turn these on and off. I like that this actually has a lane departure assist. You can turn that completely off. That is something I always want to see in every single vehicle, and this one has it, because it's very annoying. As soon as you come close to a line, it starts to shake the steering wheel. I'm not a fan of that at all. And then you have the fan speed down here, volume knob as well, 2 different vents. Drive mode selector is located down here. So look at all these drive modes that we have, and keep in mind that this is the Overtrail Plus. It's a off-road SUV. You have Eco, Comfort, Normal, Sport S, and then you have Sport Plus, Sport S Plus. I'm not sure why this vehicle has that setting, but it does. I like to keep it in just normal, to be honest. I think normal is car figures out exactly what it wants to do, and it feels like the most natural drive mode for this car. You also have the multi-terrain select here, crawl mode, traction control on and off, tow haul, in addition to a couple of USBs up here in this beautiful trim, and a cigarette outlet hiding underneath this wooden slider. This is what I like about Lexus, the quality of the interiors. It just feels nice to use and to you know, fiddle around with everything in here. Gear selector, pretty normal style here. You can go into reverse, we already did that. You can also go into manual and use the paddles here for the shifters, the 10-speed automatic, if you want to do that. Something that I would probably not do a lot in this specific vehicle. You have the center locker here, rear locker, and four-wheel high, four-wheel low as well. You have that selection right here. 2 cup holders, and this is what the key looks like if I can find it down here. Pretty typical Lexus key. You have a panic button here, hold it, open the trunk, unlock and lock the vehicle, and a Lexus badge on the back side. Looking pretty neat. You have the Lexus logo down here at the bottom as well. One thing I'm missing in here is for $85,000. Come on, Lexus. I want to have somewhere to put my shades. I can't find any space here. I have to put it in the cup holders. So that is something that I want to see with the refresh of the GX. Up top, as you can see, we don't have a full panoramic sunroof. I'm not sure if that would work with the roof rack that we have up top, but this is totally fine for me. Usually I personally don't really care for sunroofs or head-up displays, so having just a small one like this is completely fine for me. We also have a massive glove box here as well for the GX550. Now, looking at the seats, beautiful looking seats. I do like that we have some green sort of suede coming in here. A very interesting color choice for this section right here. Heated, ventilated, not too much side support, which you don't really need, I guess, in an off-roader like this. But the key thing here is if you're sitting in a Lexus, you want it to be comfortable, and these seats are definitely comfortable. And that is all that matters. And as I said, you have heated and ventilated settings, both the passenger and the driver. Wireless charging pad right here. Now, this is a pretty cool option that I might consider. For $170, you can get this cool box here. Listen to that. It just cools down whatever you have in here. If you have some cool, you know, some sandwiches or some drinks or whatever, you just turn them, put them in there, and it will stay cool. For $170, I do think that is a pretty decent option, to be honest. Looking at the steering wheel here, typical Lexus steering wheel with the paddles on the side. You have the controls to customize, as I showed you, the gauge cluster with these buttons right there, and then you have the cruise control settings on the right side. Beautiful paddles as well. You have this face, this reads your face, so when you're driving like this, it pops up this annoying message on the gauge cluster that just sort of yells at you to sit up because it can't read your face. Not a huge fan of that. I would just like to remove this. I don't want to, you know, I don't want to have cameras in my face all the time when I'm driving. You have the controls for the light settings right here, indicators as well, and the washer stock is located right there on the right side as expected. Down here you have a couple of more buttons. The seat memory seat settings here in 3 different settings. You also have open the trunk and the parking sensors on and off. And with that said, let's jump into the back seat and let's see. This would probably be my driving position. I'm pretty comfortable here being 6'1", 6'2". So let's see if we can fit behind my own driving position in the back. So jumping into the back here, overview of the back. Pretty decent space just by looking at it. Let's move this so I can actually sit in here. So jumping in here, no problems at all. I have plenty of space for my legs, and this being such a boxy looking design, I also have no problems at all with the headroom here. You can see that it slopes upwards in this area. Of course, going to help a lot with the overall headroom back here. You do have heated seats for both passengers in the back. You also have a couple of USBs here, and that is pretty much all the connectivity you have. If we fold down the central armrest, of course, we're gonna find ourselves 2 beautiful cup holders right there. Alrighty guys, let's take the 2025 GX550 Overtrail Plus for a drive. Now this drives like a truck. You can feel that body on frame construction. What I mean by that is very hard to explain, but if you've been driving a body on frame SUV and compare it to a unibody SUV, you can feel like, I don't know, the suspension is just bouncing around a little bit more on a body on frame, but it's also going to make it a lot more rugged, a lot more capable off-road, of course, and it is still extremely comfortable. 349 horsepower. You got 479 pound-feet of torque from a turbo V6, 3.4 liter V6. Pretty random displacement there, and I sort of wish that it had maybe. I mean, fuel economy is not great. It's not great in this. But it would probably be helpful to have some sort of hybrid assist, but then that would also add weight, add cost to this vehicle. And I still think it's a very, very good overall SUV, specifically if you're into luxury vehicles. I mean, $85,000 is not a cheap vehicle, this thing. And if you also want to have that in combination with some off-road capabilities, it feels like maybe the G-Wagon is a competitor to this, even though the G-Wagon is, I do believe, maybe a little bit more expensive than this. But 0 to 60 in 6.5 seconds, not too bad for what this is. Yes, I see the cars, Lexus. You don't have to warn me about them. Thank you, though. I appreciate it. Now, looking at this interior, first of all, let's step on it here a little bit. Looking at this interior, such a better integration of the 14-inch screen that we have in the Tacoma and the Tundra. I really like this integration of the interior. I think Lexus and Mazda might be the best interiors right now for 2025. Mazda just crushing it with the analog gauges, all the buttons and stuff that you have going on for climate settings. It's old school, but it is extremely functional. That is all I care about. And the quality materials of Mazda is great as well. And here we have similar integrations. We have the dials, thankfully, being analog. It's not that hard to do. And we also have a small little display in there looking beautiful. So the interiors and the exterior for the GX is stunning in my opinion. A little bit on the expensive side, of course. I mean, $85,000. There's a lot of options in that price range, but I'm not sure if there is a lot of options in this category that looks this good on the inside and out. So let's pop it. Let's try this out because I'm interested in seeing this. Let's go into Sport Plus. Let's go into manual. Let's see what this is all about. Do you hear? I don't know if you can hear the exhaust, but the exhaust got a lot throatier when you have it in sport. It sounds really good. I'm surprised. It sounds great, actually. Down to third, second. We're on off-road alternate tires. Keep that in mind. Definitely goes. We're going downhill now. It sounds completely different when you have it in sport. Sport S Plus is this drive mode called. Not sure if it feels natural for this to be thrown around the corners like this. It really doesn't, but it's very interesting to see that Lexus actually, you can hear that the shifts are a little bit slow as well. And that is the reason why I personally would not really use the paddles in a car like this, because it's not that engaging. But as I said, it's interesting that Lexus put, I'm not sure why, but a Sport S Plus setting or drive mode in the GX550. I'm going to keep it in comfort. I think comfort is probably the most natural setting for this vehicle. So overall, I mean, Lexus right now, I think they're doing a good job with specifically their interior designs and also the build quality, all the beautiful materials that we have in here. It feels like the designers actually put in a lot of effort into making this a beautiful, not just beautiful interior, but also an ergonomically functional interior. When I'm driving like this, all I gotta do to change the temp is just reach down and use this dial instead of having to exactly pick where I want to pick the temp. Stuff like that. It just just makes sense to me to have a regular old school dial. So great job by Lexus, even though there is a lot of competition in this segment. If I were in the market for an $85,000 luxury SUV, this would probably be up there, because this one also, the Overtrail Plus, also has that off-road capability that I'm looking for in this segment. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.